Well, I'm thrilled today to have my guest, Allie Lord, with me today. We're going to talk about money, real estate, mortgage, everything. Allie has an incredible background and experience in the mortgage industry and the real estate industry, and I think she's going to provide some incredible tips and feedback, and I'm so excited too.
Well,
Thank
I'm
you
honored.
for joining.
When you asked me, I was like, me. So thank you.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Well, it's delighted to be able to talk to you about it. So one of the things that, over the years in helping buyers in 20 plus years in the industry is I have sort of realized that people have different money mindsets, and that shapes a lot of how they look at money, how they spend money, how they save money, and how it shapes their goals. And it goes into that path to their home ownership. It's so important. So I'd love to get your thoughts about what your money mindset is and how that has evolved over time.
Absolutely. So it's funny you asked this question. Going back to my childhood is when my first concept of money came about. And my parents are wonderful individuals, but money was taboo at home. They never spoke of money at all. And when my dad would get the checkbook out and be paying bills, you were quiet at home because it was such a sensitive topic. Yeah. So watching myself evolve, I owe my money mindset to my husband because he came from a complete different background. Money was talked about a lot and investing in real estate and so on and so forth. So when I look at money, I try to have it be a happy topic, right? Money is a means to a lot of wonderful things and not be taboo around it. Our kids are involved with it. They're doing green light cards. We're talking about saving, investing, and all of that goes with it. So where it used to be a scary topic, my money mindset is actually thriving, which, I say my husband gets credit for that.
That's incredible. Well, and I agree. There's so much in our society where people just, it's in the world we live in, it's people just don't talk about it. No. It's that's politics and money are always the two things it seems are just off the table. Don't talk about that if you go to a party or anything like that. And I think that with money, it's good because people don't know what they don't know. Yeah. And your relationship with money is surrounded, it's developed through your surroundings and what you grow up with and who you're around and just the experiences around it. If you grow up like my father, he grew up in a household where he was the oldest of 5 children. Okay. Parents barely had enough to put food on the table. And at Christmas time, he remembered the firemen delivering Christmas presents to their house. And he was the oldest. So, he was 12 or 13 years old. And he told me that was his light that went on in his head. And he said, I'm thankful to those firemen because of what they did for my family that day, but I never, ever want to have that happen in my family. Yes. And so he said there was a part of me I was very grateful, but it was also that was my inspiration to really do something in my life and to build from that. And so it's interesting how those experiences that we grow up with and in our home life really can shape where we go in life.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Just opinions and decisions and so forth. So
it's you stay in that trajectory, right? You can either stay with what you knew or you can learn from it and change. Yeah. And so that's where you're at. It's that 50-50 usually that's there. So
it is. What do you think some of the things are that people can do to really set themselves up for financial wellness?
It's an incredible question because I think about this all the time. If I didn't have my husband, right, and have a different guide, where would I be? Where would I land? So one thing I learned early on was take all the people around you, and that you can do this in any area of your life. Who is maybe the wealthiest? Financially wealthiest, you can take it in who's the most physically fit, who has the best marriage, who's the best parent, right? But who is the most financially wealthy person you know? Take the top 5. Yeah. And when you assess it, I went in and I would ask questions. How'd you grow? Where did you get the wealth? What's the next thing I should be doing? Yeah. that's how I learned, is truly from watching people that were better than me. What did they do? The trick was real estate. At the end of the day, the consensus of the top people I asked, it all stemmed from real estate. But that was probably my number one thing, because you don't learn this in school.
Yes.
No amount of schooling is going to teach you.
Yeah.
I didn't learn it from my family necessarily, but for me, it was truly learning it from the people I surrounded myself with.
Yeah. And I would agree with that. If real estate is truly how people can get ahead, you can save your money. You can put it in the high yield savings account, which is a wonderful way to start. That's how you absolutely want to start. And you can go from there into the markets. But to really get ahead, you need that next layer, which is real estate. And it's buying the first home, living in it, moving on, buying the second home, making the original home the rental property. And just over time, it's not quick, but over time, it builds wealth. So for people that are like sitting at zero, and they're maybe just coming out of college or high school, and they said, gosh, what's my first step? What would your advice to them be?
You know, I, to this day, every month, my husband and I do a personal family budget. I think you do a personal family budget.
Yes.
So we fill out an Excel spreadsheet. It's not pretty when you're doing it, but you're sitting down. So before we did that, I would go through like small tactics, going through your bank statements, right? You're going, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I can't save for a down payment. I can't even fathom having my current rent or go up, right? So dissecting those bank statements of the necessities, I'd take a highlighter, I have pink and yellow, like necessity, spend. And then we'd sit down and we look at it, and Chris is like, this is terrible, right? Like this, but it was a really eye-opening conversation of how we could save $200 a month, right? Then taking that and putting into the personal family budget that we reviewed. Many people don't know, though, you don't have to have a down payment. You don't have to. I would like to have people go into a home feeling successful. They have a mortgage payment saved, they have money that's saved, but you can go in with zero down. So there's definitely opportunity that's there. One of our secrets, which is just a crazy thing that we did, my husband bought his first home at age 19. So we've been together since we were 12. We grew up together. Bought his first home at 19. And then it was, well, we want to buy the second home. Well, we couldn't afford in Kirkland, Washington to buy a second home. So we bought in Laramie, Wyoming. We bought in a college town. You could buy homes for $40,000, right? So being able to, if you're going, I can't save up, I can't afford $1 million right now based off of what's going on, thinking about investment properties like in a college town, that's where we were at, a college town for very, very low price to get in, having that rental, it's paying for the mortgage, you're saving up, you could turn it and sell it, et cetera. So a couple little tactics all the way from your bank statements to being able to get in entry level.
Yeah, in different markets and looking at different markets, because there's a definite difference in cash flow and cap rate in different markets, in that here is very hard to make a rental property cash flow in the Pacific Northwest. There's definitely, areas, like Grace Harbor is a great area. When you get down south in Washington, some other counties, Mason County, north, there's definitely counties in Washington where that cash flow is good, but it's hard in the Pacific Northwest. But if you get out into other states like Texas, Wyoming, Tennessee, some of those places, people can buy that second home. That's great advice. And a lot of people still think you have to put 20% down. And I advise most clients that you should actually put less down, save some of that money that you would have used for down payment, invest it into the market, or invest it into a second property so that you can buy another property with that. It just allows you to leverage, and your money isn't sitting idle, because once the down payment is in the house, it's idle. You're going to get equity over time.
But no matter what, you'll gain that appreciation.
But the money stopped moving. So it's idle. And so those are the things people just don't know. They don't know what they don't know.
They don't. So I think you can buy another property. Let's say you don't own a home here and you want to get into real estate. I think a lot of people don't know that you can buy a second home or an investment property. And you can.
Yes. Yeah.
So
you absolutely can. And you can, the only difference is that when you're buying an investment property, it does require more down than like if you're buying your primary home. But if you're buying a house for $40,000 or $50,000 in one of these markets where the price point's a lot less, you likely or maybe already have that money saved for the down payment.
Yep.
But what it does is over time, it's going to provide a cash flow that can be invested. And then that helps go ahead and increase the down payment for the house you want to buy in the market that you're living in.
Yes.
That is more expensive. So yeah, absolutely. There's no barriers to entry to own an investment property at all.
You don't have to have your primary and to be able to buy an investment property.
Yeah. And you could rent it short term or you can rent it long term.
Yes.
So if it's in a place where you say, well, I kind of want to spend some time there, which leads me to my next question, because I think you have some different properties that are investment properties. And I've been fascinated by how you and Chris have looked at different markets and how you kind of done your research in like how you've gone about your investing. I would love to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I go back, my husband bought his first home when he was very young, and then we ended up getting married. And I think he thought we were on Flip This House. So he'd like, we're going to buy a house and we're going to flip it. And then we're going to buy a couple houses. And again, this was in Laramie, Wyoming, where you could purchase a home for $40,000, $50,000. And then you could put $7,000 to $10,000 in it, turn and sell it for $80,000, right? So that's how we started, was him pretending he was on a reality TV show, and I went along for the ride. And then we decided to hold. Let's hold real estate. Let's do long-term rentals. So Laramie, Wyoming is in a college town, just like all across America, you can find college towns. So we would rent to college students, and it's really hard to rent to college students because they're always turning over, right? They're always looking for something bigger, better, dropping out of college, moving to a different college, going on with their life. So you're not getting these long-term tenants. And that's a lot when you have a career on top of it. Yeah. So we said, well, let's try something different. And we identified that we wanted to have a property in Arizona, in Scottsdale. And we went and toured. We actually went there during COVID for an entire month. We drove an RV down and we looked at 100 homes in 30 days.
Oh my gosh.
And we do love real estate. We're real estate nerds. And so this was fun for us. Our poor children were like, this is terrible. But we looked at 100 homes and we saw what was possible with the VRBO market.
Okay.
And
great time to do it.
It was the best time to do it. And when we were looking at it, we were going, this is what we make on the monthly. So we're definitely paying for our mortgage on our college rentals, right? We're covering the mortgage. We're making a little bit extra every single month. But when you look at what you can rent a VRBO out for, I can rent it 1 week every single month and it will pay for the entire house. Where I can use it, my family can use it, my friends can use it. So we're making a profit. Now, if you ran it as a business and you were truly renting it out 3 to 4 weeks every single month, you're making an enormous profit. So we learned really quick. We pulled out for us of the long-term rentals and went into the short-term rental business, and it's been lucrative. For sure.
Nice. And so you have like a really good property manager that kind of manages it, and it's in a market. You kind of do your research, make sure it's in a market where it has that. Because there's some markets that are definitely better VRBOs than others. And so you look and look at those stats and see like what kind of research is out there that you can look at.
I always look at first just personally. You have to go inward. And when I walk into a house, would I want to stay here? When I first walk in, is this something, and I love it, I'm excited. There's a lot of bedrooms, so on and so forth. But so that's where it goes from the heart first. But there's logic that goes behind it also. So our property manager is a lobbyist for VRBOs. They know all the ins and outs because you have to be careful. Are you in an HOA? Are there CCNRs? Are there rules, restrictions, covenants that you have to follow? So making sure you have an attorney that can look at things for you, or a really good property manager. Then from there, it all has to, like, people will talk about doors. How many doors do you own? For us, it's how many bedrooms. for a VRBO, if you think about this.
That's an interesting concept. Okay, so long-term, it's more how many doors.
Yes.
And for VRBO, it's more how many bedrooms.
Bedrooms. How many bedrooms, right?
That's a good
Because
distinction.
how many you can fit in there, right? So you're going, if someone's going to go and stay in Scottsdale at the Fairmont, how much is it a night? Well, they don't get that all togetherness. So they want to be in a home together with their own private pool, et cetera. Well, how many bedrooms, how many families can you fit in there? Right?
Yes.
And then for us, we're really like, what's special about it? So when you go into a VRBO and you're looking, some might have an indoor gym or their own pool or a pool table. So making sure that the house has an appeal. So you have curb appeal when you're buying real estate for yourself. You have a feel, right, that goes with it. VRBOs, you have to have a niche, something that's super exciting that attracts people to come to your house. So we just get all the little models that go with it.
That's incredible. So those are some really good tips. I didn't realize that distinction. That's a gem to understand.
You know, there's certain things, if you can be really specific, and in Arizona it's so easy. In Washington it's not. 1 acre property, because as a neighbor, I don't really want a VRBO next door to me, right? If you're on a 1 acre lot, you can't hear things as much, so that's nice. So looking at a large lot, looking for a corner lot, looking for an alley that maybe runs through so that you are a good steward to your neighbors, right? That's something you want to keep it going. It's a business that's there. And then we do little things where we don't allow bachelorette parties or bachelor parties or huge events. A lot of our tenants are corporate retreats, families coming together. But then the secret really is you have these noise makers. So to be a good steward to your neighbors, there's these noise makers, and you can't hear the conversation. You can hear the decimal if it goes up or down. So our property manager will always know if the noise is too loud at the home. And then you can continue to run your business and not bother people.
Interesting. That's incredible. I didn't know about that.
I didn't either.
That's
I was like,
great.
what's plugged in over here? And then it's literally just the level of the noise.
And so they can make sure that it's under the certain level where you're not going to make the neighbors upset, which, of course, you want to have.
They're your customers too.
Yes.
So
100%. Yeah, definitely. Oh my gosh. Well, and as we, both work in the mortgage industry, it's people ask us these kind of questions all the time.
Do.
So, and it has been such a fun run. Like the last 20 plus years, we've seen so many ins and outs, so many different markets.
Yes.
What would you say are some of the biggest misconceptions that you think are out there about getting a loan or the mortgage business in general?
Absolutely. We're really blessed with who we work with, right? When you look at the company we work for, the crew that's here and the family that we've built, you're not going to find that everywhere that's there. But I think for a consumer, the down payment, that's a huge, I'm not really sure. The down payment is a holdback that's there. Interest rates right now are the hottest topic because we sat for 3 years, lowest interest rates in history. And we will probably never, ever see those rates again in your or my lifetime. Yeah. Right?
I agree.
So when we look at where we're at now, it's been really, really hard for the consumer to get used to the new environment that we're in with interest rates. However, if you have a current homeowner and they're holding on to their low interest rate and they're trying to hold that house and not buy their dream home, they're going to miss out on opportunity that's there because yes, the rate is wonderful. It gives you a great payment. Quality of life, something needs to be considered. Appreciation needs to be considered as well because we're about to hit a cusp of really great appreciation in my opinion. So I think when you look at the interest rate environment that we're in and people having fear or living in the past instead of what the future is going to hold is what's holding people back. Yes. And it shouldn't, because what's about to happen with real estate and appreciation, I think could be one of the most spectacular next couple of years that we've seen.
I would agree with that. I think people get so into the rate. They center into it. Yes. And I get it. I get it. It's what people don't know what they don't know. And it's what they gravitate to because it is something that they can cling on to. Yes. But as you go through it, what you realize is that really we're in a marketplace where the price is really the key. The rate is temporary. It can be refinanced. The loan, you can pay off the loan anytime.
Absolutely.
You can refinance the loan anytime. You can always get that awesome rate that you're trying to chase down the road. But you can't renegotiate the property price once you buy a house. So today's price is going to be a lot more expensive in 3 months or 6 months in a year because of pure math. There just is not enough homes being built or that are gonna come on the market to keep up with the amount of people that will want to buy and will become more eligible to buy as rates come down. So it's gonna push the prices up. And you're right, there's gonna be, I think, huge opportunity for appreciation. So if somebody jumps in now, why rates are a little bit high, they can get into that price point. That's going to be a deal. They're going to look back a year or two from now and say, oh my gosh, I got a deal on this. And then their loan officer is going to say, guess what? I can refinance you. And you're still going to get that awesome rate. That
we're going to save you money. You've gone in at a great price. You've also had excellent appreciation that you would not have had if you just were so fixated on the rate. So
Yes.
I agree.
Yes, definitely. So if you had a buyer that said, hey, I want to be set up in 2025, I want to buy, what do you think are maybe the top 3 things they could start doing today to set themselves up for success in 2025 to be a buyer?
Absolutely. So my opinion in looking at all the past clients I've worked with, and I go in and a client qualifies. You go through the qualifications with them, credit, income, right? So you look at the debt, et cetera. Client today should find out, based off their income and credit, what do they qualify for today? Many times the payment they qualify for is actually higher than what they want it to be. So the key is for the next 12 months until you buy is I would recommend saving that highest payment. So if you qualify for $3,500 a month payment, and you only want a $3,000 a month payment, take the $3,500 every single month and sock it away. So at the 12-month mark, you're used to it. You get to see what it feels like. You've now also saved some money that's there. That is one of the best strategies in going to getting used to doing it. Let's say you meet with your loan officer now. Your credit's not there, or it's lower, or you have debt to be paid off. The beauty of working with someone like you is you can go through and talk to them about strategy. So if you wait 12 more months, 2025, and you start that process then, they now could not have improved their credit score until they talk to someone like you. So I think it's looking at, what do you qualify for now? Save that payment that's there. Then look at, what does the credit look like? Can I improve my credit score? Will it affect my rate? Will it help me in being able to take those steps in the next 12 months?
I like that. The whole concept of the test drive the payment, I think is one of the best concepts there is, because it really does allow a person to feel like, okay, how do I do financially? Like, what are the trade-offs for me to afford that payment where it's at? And is that worth it to me? Or can I cut back somewhere else? And just, it allows them to get in touch with their money. And also kind of going back to the whole money mindset, right? There's like, from the research I've done, I think there's 5 different money mindsets. And it's really helpful if people can understand where they fit. And again, it's not good or bad. It's just the relationship that we've all grown up with through our surroundings. And it determines kind of how we think about things. And sometimes we need to shake things up and we need to tweak things, and it gives time to tweak things.
It does.
And, if people are under a lot of debt, that's another thing. If you own a home, you kind of have a natural place to go through your equity to be able to cure that debt. But I've had borrowers that call me and say, hey, I don't own a place yet, and I have a mound of debt. What do I do? Where can I go? And we can be a financial architect to really look at the structure of what that debt is and say, okay, you've got this much in revolving or this much in student loans, and this is what you can do to set yourself up for success with savings and getting that debt paid off in the best possible way, to be ready when that house comes along, because that's really what the goal is.
And I love that you used architect. Like that is exactly what you're doing when you're strategizing with your client and getting them ready. You are truly the architect right there.
Yeah.
And you're moving things around and showing them all the options that are available for them. So I love that you use that.
Well, and we really have the unique opportunity to look under the hood with people's full financial picture.
Yep.
Like, I love financial advisors, and I think they play a key role in our world. However, you have to have money to invest. They're great. Once you have some money to invest, they can tell you what the best place to invest it's going to be. But there's a lot of clients that are like, how do you get there?
Exactly.
Like, what's the first stop? How do I get to where I have some money and to where I'm at a point where I can start to save?
Yeah.
So that's a big piece for us as loan advisors, to really look at people's base financial well-being and say, okay, this is really what you need to do. This is the strategy. This is tactical. This is strategic. This is the plan to get you in a credit, in a debt, in a financial position to where you're going to be set up for success for the house. And from there, you get to go into where you've got money, where you're ready to invest in the market. You're ready to be investing long-term, just overall. So.
When you are talking about financial advisors, it makes me think, we know the wealth accumulator. There's a pie chart that we've seen before.
Yes.
And it brings me back to thinking, when I talk with my financial advisors, I have two incredible financial advisors, and they're very different in the way they do things, but both of them strategically, we sit down every 6 months. And the first question is, what's your income, right? So you look at your W-2 or your 1099. So what's your income? Then the next bucket goes to, tell me about your real estate. Homes that you own, have you bought or sold? Have you done anything? Then it goes into 401k, IRAs, stocks, bonds, right? So this wealth accumulator, it teaches you have to have income.
Yes.
Then the next step is investing in real estate. Then it goes into investing in the market with either an advisor, et cetera. And people also don't learn that. But by coming to someone like you, then you're showing them all of this, which is start now. Even if it's 12 months from now in 2025, start now, and you can show them that pathway.
Yeah. And the greatest gift, people, when they turn 18, that's when you can legally sign a contract. You can legally get debt. You can legally get credit cards.
Yeah.
The best gift somebody can start doing when they turn 18 is go and get a secure credit card.
Yes.
Start to build credit, because you have to have credit. You cannot, like in the United States, if you ever want to own a home, you have to have credit. That's the first stop. So credit, and then go get a job. There's no substitute for income. You gotta have some income. So depending on what kind of a job you want to have, you got to get the income. And then from there, it's really looking at, okay, what's the budget? And, how much should it be? Where's the comfort level? Everybody's a little bit different. There's, there's definitely some rules of thumb that people can do, but it's fun to be on the journey. And it's amazing when you get to see people have that light just really like pops on, and they kind of realize that the whole loan process and working with a professional full service loan officer, it's so much more than just the push button, get mortgage. Like that isn't what it is.
No.
Like getting a mortgage fits into your overall financial picture, and it's got to fit into that overall financial picture. And as a full service advisor, we want to make sure that what we're suggesting in our strategy fits into what's going to work best financially long term for our clients. So it's a lot of fun. I love it. I think it's been a lot of fun, like to see people.
So I think so often a client comes to us and they're ashamed. They're going, I've racked up all this credit card debt. I have so much in student loans. I barely make ends meet, or I don't make ends meet. That's there. And we've helped thousands of clients. You and I both, thousands of clients. And I love, more than anything, helping someone see what's possible. So coming to me, making less than what you owe, And to me, this is a huge, like it's an equation, a math equation. I'm going to celebrate the wins with them. But I think you've probably experienced this as well. And my biggest thing as a lender is to make sure everyone feels comfortable coming to us because we've seen it all and we're experts and we can help them get out of this. Do you agree?
Absolutely, 100%. In fact, I would say that one of my most favorite opportunities with a client that calls me is the one that comes to me that feels that way, because I feel like I'm going to be able to really help them and they're going to feel so much better by the time we finish this conversation. Because the thing about it is when people feel credit and finances, it's a very personal thing.
Yep.
And it's because there's a lot of emotion around money, because it's tied to fear. Yeah. It's tied to future. It's tied to dreams. It's tied to hope. It's tied to usually experiences people have had in their life. And so when they come to us with that insecurity about maybe they have some debt or they don't have any savings, or what it is inside, they're kind of questioning their worthiness because they don't know what they don't know. Yes. And what I always say right up front to clients is, look, I am here to help you. I am not here to judge you. Yep. I work with people all the time and I love what I do for a living, because my gift is I understand finance and I can help you through this. Yes. And the biggest step you can take is just talking about it, like getting it out on the table, talking about it, because yes, there's so many solutions and people don't realize there's solutions. Everyone's a little different. So we have to take each individual as they come. Yes. But there's nothing more gratifying than when a client comes to you and they are feeling maybe ashamed or insecure about their finances or their credit, and you can show them that pathway. And over time, you're working with them and you're checking in and you're having those benchmark calls and seeing that, oh my gosh, this is working. Like I'm on this path and this is working. I'm getting myself to my goals. And ultimately, when they get to that goal of owning that house one day, it's just the most gratifying thing in the whole world, because we have the ability to see into the future. But a lot of people, they don't. It's just not their thing. Like they're good at other stuff they're good at.
They're looking at comparison, right? They're looking at social media and people living in these multi-million-dollar houses and they're driving these cars. And this is the lifestyle that they think is the norm. But if you look at stats, what the median household income is, what the average credit card is, what the average debt is. And then, so I love pointing that out so that we can go, look, you are way above average on your income. You are doing incredible on your credit cards over here. But what we compare ourselves to is not the reality that's out there amongst most of Americans.
And I think like the biggest thing right now is debt is at the highest levels it's ever been. People, it topped $1 trillion a few months back. And people are sitting with the highest debt levels they've ever had. And we're already having those conversations with people. And I think it's going to be more and more. We're going to be counselors for them, because that's really something we need to help them tackle and help them understand too. Because a lot of times people, as they accumulate debt, they don't understand there's good debt and there's bad debt. And how do you get on top of that? And what one do you tackle first?
Exactly.
How do you tackle it? Like what are the avenues to tackle it?
And there's so many strategies that you can go based off of, like when you're talking the mindset and the 5 different mindsets around money, there's different strategies you can use for different personalities and people.
Yes, absolutely. And how fortunate are we to have all found our new home at Movement Mortgage this past year. I mean, this is the greatest place we could have all ever landed. We've all worked together for years. We all wanted to make a move together. And it was a no-brainer when we found out what Movement was all about. And I think what I love is after doing this all these years, I can go and close a loan anywhere. But to be able to close a loan with purpose and impact, there's nothing that can compare with that. And I was so excited and was afforded one of the most incredible opportunities that I know I have some fellow colleagues that have also been able to that experience this as well. But, every couple times a year when we get to nominate our favorite nonprofits for the Grace Work grants, and my favorite nonprofit is REST, which is in Seattle, and it helps people who have been in the sex trafficking trade and they are moving on with their life, and it helps them with the services and, those needed services they need to build that life. And it's such an incredible nonprofit. The people are incredible. The mission's incredible. And they're so heartfelt. And I've been able to have the opportunity to meet them and be in their facilities. And so I nominated REST this fall when we got to do our nominations, and out of hundreds of nominees, REST was one of the awards, 2 in Washington State, 35 in the whole country. So to have all of my colleagues across the country vote for my chosen nonprofit, and then to be able to go and present the $10,000 grant check to them through our KM Foundation was really one of the most gratifying experiences I've ever experienced in my life, because $10,000 for REST was huge. Absolutely huge. And they were able to sit with me and talk me through exactly where that money was going to go and how it would impact some of these survivors of sex trafficking and helping them to rebuild that life. And it meant so much. And it was like, it's the partnership of the great agents we work with and the great clients we get to serve, and to know that 49% of every loan we do goes back into our communities, and they will help people just in various different nonprofits. It was really one of the most greatest experiences of my life.
The fact that, we go to work every day. We love what we do. I never have a case of the Mondays. My husband is like annoyed by me because of this, because I love my job. And when you can combine what you love to do every single day with giving back to the greater good of our community, and we do that for work, like, how did we get so lucky? I have no idea. And in vetting, when you're looking at movement, and so many lending institutions, you can work anywhere, like you said. We can close loans, we can help clients, we have great products and programs. And movement giving back 49% of their profit in different capacities, to me, is the most incredible gift that we've been given. And I look at, they're onto something with their impact lending. And a lot of people are like, what is that? We didn't even know what impact lending was when we came.
We had no idea.
We're like, what is this?
What does this word mean?
Going like, we're impact lenders.
Yes.
Our clients are impact clients. Our realtors that we get to work with are impact realtors. And so I think what's so incredible is when you look at, they're covering all facets. So with movement charter schools, so you can have the charter schools for the underserved. You can have GraceWorks. So, last year we gave $160,000 in the Pacific Northwest, $160,000 away to grow grassroots local charities.
That's
like yours, like REST, that could use the $10,000. And then all the vision trips where they're helping even outside of the states and helping other people. I'm like, I get to go to work every day. And we get to help people achieve homeownership, which is such a gift. And I get to go to work every single day and know every loan I fight for, every client we get to help, every time a client writes their payment on their mortgage payment, we're serving our community. There's nothing better.
No, there isn't.
Nothing better.
I agree. And as agents, as our partners have learned about what this means, every one of them is so excited. Like, I had no idea what impact lending means. And that you guys, that movement does this in the community. And this is incredible. And then when we show them what their impact calculation is for the month or the year, and we show them how many teachers' salaries they funded, how many backpacks they funded through just doing business with us.
Lunches served to children that would not receive lunch. breakfast, dinner, the only meal of the day that it's, when I look at Casey Crawford, and I'm so grateful when he was retiring from his football career that he decided to go down this journey in this crazy, beautiful mortgage industry. But stats that people don't know, and I have to just say them weekly. But when you look at the number one deciding factor of someone's life expectancy is the zip code they're born in.
Yes.
Right?
That's that hit me.
Okay.
When I heard that first,
huge.
it hit me.
So you go, okay, so we're helping people buy homes in zip codes, right? We're number one deciding socioeconomic wealth. And then when we heard, if you can read by third grade, you'll own a home. And if you can't read by third grade, you won't own a home.
Yeah.
Staggering. Because we're so blessed in Lake Washington School District, North Shore School District, Seattle School District. Students there are reading by third grade for the majority.
Yes.
Across the country, it's not like that. And that Casey Crawford cared enough to pay attention to these stats, to be able to help the underserved, makes it so you and I get to do something incredible.
Yes.
Every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's interesting because one of my most very, very favorite books I was ever given in my life is a book called 29 Gifts.
Okay.
And it was given to me by a girlfriend of mine. Like 10 years ago, I was kind of going through a tough time in my life. And she said, you need to read this book. And I had no idea what the book was about. And I read the book, and it's essentially about this woman who had just been given a terrible medical diagnosis. She'd just gotten married and she was feeling really down. And she ended up hooking up with this spiritual woman that helped her. And this woman gave her a challenge. She says, for 29 days, I want you to go give somebody a gift. And it doesn't have to be monetary. Doesn't have to be monetary at all. It could be just sitting with somebody and listening, or making that phone call to somebody you haven't talked to in a long time, a friend of yours or family member, and maybe they just needed to hear your voice that day. You never know how a good deed will affect somebody else's day. Sometimes it might save their life that day. But this woman in the book did 29 days consecutively of giving gifts, just well-intentioned gifts to people she knew, people she didn't know. It could be a stranger. And I've done it now 3 times. And most recently was just this past holiday season. I took up the challenge again. And what was really interesting is I'm always amazed because it's conscious and unconscious. Sometimes you're like, oh, that actually is kind of a gift I gave to somebody. But not 2 weeks after finishing my 29th day, I got the call from Ami, who runs our Graceworks, saying,
oh my goodness,
your nonprofit was chosen for the Graceworks grant. And it's just what it shows you is when you put out good in the world, it comes back.
It does.
And you're doing it because you just want to do something good. You're not doing it without that expectation, but that's just what happens. And so the whole concept of the environment we work in every day, we're putting out good in the world. And that's positive. It's just such a positive environment that we work and live in. And we're just surrounded by such positive things that we're doing and the impact we make that, I just could have never imagined. I know. And
I didn't know that this was out there. And
it's been such a blessing.
Very happy we found it.
Yes, I would agree. What a blessing.
It is.
Yeah. Well, Allie, it's been such a pleasure talking to you today. And gosh, I mean, what a great conversation.
Oh, so
all
fun.
The different things that we covered. And please, if any of you have questions, please feel free to reach out to Allie or I. We would always be delighted to talk to you and help you out.
Thank you.